Bakit pinaghiwalay-hiwalay yung mga powers na yan? Para may check and balance. Iba ang nangyayari ngayon. Masyadong malakas ang sa buwatan, yung connection between the executive and the legislature. Lalong-lalo na kasi mag-first cousins ang presidente at ang speaker of the house. Pwede nga nilang hingin sa OP, "Oh, Mr. President, binantayan nyo ba yung release ninyo? Kayo ba ay nagbantay ng pera ng bayan? Bakit ang VP ang VP lang kayo umaarya, di ba?"
What's up mga kababayan, News That Matters here. Dito sa video natin ngayon ay ating panonoorin si Atty. Trixie Angeles. Usap-usapan ngayon mga kababayan, itong pag-akto ng mga kongreso na tila'y gusto talaga nilang sumablay sa pagsagot itong si VP Sara sa nangyaring OVP budget hearing mga kababayan. Ngunit talagang matalino at matalas ang mga Duterte na natunugan niya ang ganitong kalakaran ng nasa kongreso. Grabe naman yan. Na dito sa video natin ngayon mga kababayan magiging aware tayo at marami tayong makukuha o matututunan pagdating sa mga nangyayaring budget hearings. Na tamang winika ni Atty. Trixie Angeles na may Supreme Court naman at hindi dapat ang mga kongreso ang nag-iimbestiga pagdating sa mga confidential funds. Dahil una, itong mga kongreso ay hindi naman abogado. Pangalawa, tulad na lamang ni Atty. Marcoleta, abogado pero wala naman sa committee. Tila talaga'y pinagloloko na lang ang taong bayan ng mga nasa loob ng kongreso o nasa loob ng munisipyo. Pero bagong lamang kababayan, huwag niyo po sana nakalimutan mag-like at subscribe para updated ka sa mga uploads ko araw-araw. At yun na nga mga kababayan, kailangan na talaga na bumoto ng taong bayan ng bago at matatalinong kandidato ng legislative sector dahil nababahiran na ng pagkukuntsabahan ang mga nauupo ngayon. Kung kaya naman hindi ko na patatagalin pa, heto na ang
So, ang kongreso, ito yung merong mga nagtatanong, bakit ganyan ang kongreso? Ang kanilang liquidation ay by certification. MOOE lang po yan. Ganito yung justification niyan. Justify muna natin bago natin okrayin. Okay? First, ang Kongreso, like any other agency, may nag-audit sa kanila. Ang nag-audit, of course, ay ang COA. Yan ay Constitutional Commission po, ang Commission on Audit. Anong ibig sabihin pag Constitutional Commission? Mayroon silang parang independence. And while it is true na ina-appoint ang pinuno nito ng presidente, hindi siya pwedeng, meron siyang tinatawag na parang financial or economic independence. Hindi po pwedeng bawasan ang kanilang budget. Okay? Usually, so, ang COMELEC, ang COA, and so on, these, ang civil service, ito po ay mga constitutional bodies. And ginagrantan siya ng parang independence, semi-independence. You're still part of the executive, you're still part of the civil service, pero hindi po pwedeng gamitin, let's say, ang politika sa inyo. Kaya usually, pag head ka ng Constitutional Commission, hindi po kayo pwedeng tanggalin except by impeachment. Yung mga yun. Tapos, hindi rin pwede kayong bawasan. So, this is a way of to ensure na kahit paano gagawa kayo ng decision na relatively free from politics. Okay. The reality, however, is very different. Nakikita natin na, tignan nyo dun sa COMELEC, tignan niyo dun sa Commission on Audit, it is entirely possible na meron pa rin mahahalong politika dyan. It just makes it harder, kumbaga, to oppress, kumbaga, ang isang ahensya kasi hindi mo ma-threaten with pagbabawas ng budget. Hindi pwedeng gawin halimbawa sa judiciary yan. Ang judiciary may semi-independent sila, although ino-audit pa rin lahat ng COA. Okay? I hope this is clear. So, ngayon, ang Kongreso, I guess it is unfortunate for us, they hold the power of the purse, but they also hold the power to make laws. Ang police power is not the power of the police to enforce the laws. That's called enforcement powers. But police power is the power of the state to make rules or laws for the public welfare or the public good in the public interest. So ang police power actually resides with the legislature. So when they make laws, they can also allocate, di ba? The power of the purse is in the Congress. So, bakit pinaghiwalay-hiwalay yung mga powers na yan? Para may check and balance. Iba ang nangyayari ngayon. Masyadong malakas ang yung connection between the executive and the legislature. Lalong-lalo na kasi mag-first cousins ang presidente at ang speaker of the house. Plus, syempre,
Agree ba kayo dun sa winika ni Atty. Trixie, mga kababayan, na malala na ngayon no, ang sabuatan sa loob ng Kongreso? At isang halimbawa nga nito ang pamumulitika sa budget ng OVP. Grabe naman talaga. Anong opinion nyo patungkol dito, mga kababayan?
may political power yung presidente. He can be very influential pagdating doon sa pag-uupo sa pwesto sa loob ng Kongreso o sa loob ng Senado, kung sino magiging Senate President, sino magiging Speaker, and so on. So, doon pa lang yung balances ay na-upset. Yung siniset ng saligang batas na mag-balance out ay na-upset pag masyadong malakas ang ugnayan ng dalawang sangay. Okay? Mas malala yan kung tatlong sangay ay nagkasabwatan na. Ang mangyayari, parang Marcos Sr., constitutional dictatorship. Ano ba ang ibig sabihin ng dictatorship? Ang dictatorship po ay kapag halos lahat ng powers ng iba't ibang sangay ng gobyerno ay ini-exercise ng isang tao. So si Marcos Sr. had actually 3 powers. At he was the president, of course, so executive power. Pero merong presidential decrees, which means that he exercised legislative powers. Pero there was a time na nag-i-issue din siya ng arrest, search, and seizure orders, yung tinatawag nating ASO. Ang arrest, search, and seizure order, usually an arrest order or a seizure order is issued by the court kasi kailangan magkaroon ng due process yan. But President Marcos exercised even judicial powers. Kaya natatawag siyang diktador. Bakit constitutional dictatorship? Kasi pag gusto niyang mag-exercise ng mas dagdag na powers, nilalagay niya sa saligang batas or nilalagay niya sa ibang batas. Okay. Next. Okay. Who else was a dictator? Believe it or not, Cory Aquino. Bakit? During the revolutionary government of 1986, si President Cory removed the 1973 Constitution at ang ginawa niya ay revolutionary government. During the revolutionary government, she was able to make laws through executive order at presidente din po siya. Mayroon siyang executive power. But for a very brief moment, parang may judicial power siya. Kasi she got to decide whether or not the courts would continue functioning. So yung very existence ng judiciary depended on her decision, which in a way was similar to a judicial power. Very, very, very tenuous, but it was there. So in that sense, Cory Aquino was a dictator for at least a year. Okay? So, bakit umabot sa punto na ngayon? Ganito, reminder lang what the topic is. So, ang Kongreso, ito yung problema. Now, we are a government of laws, di ba? But who makes the laws? It's the legislature. And why did we end up having a legislature making all of these laws? Well, normally yan, ang magbabalanse ay ang judiciary. Chine-check nila, the judiciary ay maaari nilang i-check yung mga powers na ine-exercise ng Kongreso. Pero ang limitado sila doon sa pag-determine kung ang batas na yon ay constitutional o hindi. Ulitin ko ha. So, pwedeng gumawa ng batas ang Kongreso. Pero kung hindi constitutional yung batas na yon, maaaring ipawalang bisa yan ng judiciary. That is part of the check and balance. Unfortunately, yun nga, minsan, constitutional nga yung batas, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it is right or that it works correctly. Isa pa, ang judiciary, they are hesitant na i-check nila o mag-encroach sila doon sa power ng Kongreso. Okay, ayaw nilang makialam. So kung sole power ng Kongreso ang gumawa ng batas, makikialam lang sila when it is a constitutional question. However, pagka umabot dun sa punto nga na but Congress can make laws that are constitutional but not necessarily correct, diba? That's one. And second, since the judiciary rarely will check the powers of a co-equal branch, it must be mabigat or severe para mag-intervene sila. Ito po ay to prevent, yung tensions, too much tension between the three branches of government. Kailangan nagbabalanse po ang mga powers na yun. Pagka hindi nagbalanse and we end up with a dictatorship, we are back to the 70s and back to the first Marcos government. Yes po, alam ko may tao sa likod ko. I know who they are. So, ngayon, since the Congress has power over the budget, sila po ay ang naggagawa ng batas base doon sa National Expenditure Program para gawin yung national budget. And the national budget, once approved by Congress, becomes the General Appropriations Act. Kasi nga, para gumalaw, para magkaroon ng pondo, kailangan may batas. Now, paano nangyari yung Resolution 10, yung Joint Resolution number 10? Normally kasi, ang MOOE ng bawat opisina ng kongresista o ng senador ay meron silang budget every month. Yung budget na yon, pareho yan every month. At may mga allocations yan. Halimbawa, para dun sa sweldo ng mga staff nila, para sa operating expenses, kuryente, office supplies, computer upgrades, etc. Lahat po yan is part of the regular budget na monthly nila natatanggap. So, ibig sabihin, halos pare-pareho ang liquidation ito. Kaya po sila gumawa ng Resolution 10, it's to make things simpler, even for COA. Kasi, isa-certify na lang ng head of office na ginastos ito ng in accordance with what it was intended for. Now, bakit issue ito? Ang issue dito, hindi yung simplification ng Kongreso, which we understand kasi pare-pareho more or less ang costs ng pagpapatakbo ng opisina every month. Ang issue dito is that with other government agencies, masyado tayong mabusisi. Pag ordinaryong kawani ng gobyerno, masyado tayong mabusisi. Sabi ni Silent Supporter, certification to liquidation lang. We'll get to that po. Chill ka lang. Hindi naman namin sinasabi na tama ang ginagawa ng Kongreso. Ini-explain pa natin dito. Wag mo nang wagwala. Mas nakakapagwala yung mamaya. I'm telling you. Okay. This is the simplest part of the budget actually sa Kongreso. Regular yan. And the congressman has some discretion dun sa pagbabalanse ng sarili niyang budget. Kunwari, kailangan niya ng additional na consultant. Yung consultant, pasensya na kayo kasi may naglilinis. Yung consultant po na yun, kung wala pang budget, maaaring kunin sa iba, magre-realign lang siya. Kasi lahat yan within the office. Okay? Because ang purpose ng kanilang regular MOOE budget is to run the office. So may discretion yung congressman o yung senador to determine yung staffing niya, ganong karami yung mga office equipment, office furniture, etc. Mayroon talaga silang discretion pagdating sa ganyan. And it's understandable kasi sa private sector ganyan din. Pero yun nga, the entire problem is that pagdating sa kanila, sila lang magsa-certify, and it's very simple because COA will almost always accept the liquidation by certification. In fact, wala pa yata akong nakikita na dinis-allow. In short, bakit ang dali para sa kanila, pero sa ibang mga ahensya at ibang mga government agencies, dadaan ka sa butas ng karayom. Fast forward to OVP. Walang issue dapat pagdating sa MOOE, etc. So, winave nila yun. Nag-concentrate sila doon sa confidential funds. In fact, tama, si silent supporter sa OVP, scrutinize nila. But they didn't just scrutinize, I think they over scrutinized. And bakit? Why was that, why do we think it's unfair? It's unfair because normally, the money that was used for confidential funds is actually no longer even, it is public funds only because it is used by the Office of the Vice President. Pero ang totoo niyan, once Malacanang released the money to the Office of the Vice President, it was already spent. Okay? Bakit? Kanino ba binudget yan? Diba? It was budgeted to the OP. So itong OP, nirelease nila sa OVP. Therefore, the budget was already spent. Therefore, the liquidation, in theory, should have been with the Office of the President. So, ang OP ngayon, isa-certify nila na ito po ay ginastos ng tama at pinadala sa Office of the Vice President because the presumption is OP knows kung saan gagamitin ng OVP. So, ganun din po kasi sa Kongreso, pag ni-release ang pera sa bawat kongresista, nagastos na yun. Well, hindi yan nagastos ng Office of the Speaker, but that's
Buti pa nga si Sara Duterte, may saliin may transparency report kung saan napupunta ang pera. Pero ang mga kongreso, karamihan dyan, alam nyo na mga kababayan, yung dito nga banda sa amin, ang daming lupain ang daming business. May construction business pa.
Located, and the presumption is each congressman understands and knows na ito ang mga limitations ng budget nila. They can only use it for that. Pero walang iniisang kongresista na nagsosoli ng pera, ha? Unless bago sila. So, yun na nga. So, ang OVP dadaan sa butas ng karayom even if technically it is the OP that should first be undergoing scrutiny. Pwede nga nilang hingin sa OP, "Oh, Mr. President, binantayan nyo ba yung release ninyo? Kayo ba ay nagbantay ng pera ng bayan? Bakit ang VP ang VP lang kayo umaarya, di ba?" Okay, next. Di ba? So next, ano pa ang ibang issue? Actually, para sa akin, yung MOOE na yan ang maliit. Ang totoo niyan, very kind ang COA to the legislature. So, tingnan ninyo, ang laki ng discretionary fund ng Office of the Speaker. Bakit? Well, normally, you're really given a discretionary fund because there are expenses na hindi na-anticipate ng budget. Ngayon, ang laki niyan will depend on ano yung activities. But guess who makes the budget? Who proposes the budget for the House? Ding! It's the House. Who allocates it? Ding! It's the House. Ang only balance talaga ng Kongreso, well, not the House, the Congress, the entire Congress. Sino nagpo-propose? Congress. Sino mag-allocate? Hello, Congress. Sino mag-approve? Congress pa rin. So in that instance, wala silang check and balance. Ang pinaka-check niyan is COA. And COA is a constitutional commission and therefore, in theory, holds, is semi-independent. It has some kind of independence, some kind of protection. But clearly that protection is no longer enough. Okay. So, what it comes down to is this. Ang Kongreso, they make the rules, they make the budget, they approve the budget, and diba? They spend that. Now, bakit ang bait ng COA sa Kongreso? Even if Congress hindi pwede nilang bawasan ang budget, well, posible rin kasi na baka ipatawag sila for the dreaded congressional hearing. Sabi ni McDreamy, is it in the Constitution a liquidation by certification ng Congress? Hindi po. What is in the Constitution is that the Congress holds the power of the purse and that COA does the audit. Now, paano kung magkasundo yung dalawa? COA approved this liquidation formula. It approved it because same amount ang nire-release to each of the offices every month. So, and then, ang nangyayari is pare-pareho lang, mag-ano lang sila, they'll produce the same receipts, so, kaya yan ginawa for expediency. However, para sa akin kasi, kumbaga, I am much more worried. I'm less worried about the MOOE and much more worried about the discretionary fund that the speaker holds. Halimbawa, di ba, yung travel budget, di ba natanong si speaker noon, sama ka ng sama kay presidente, magsano na yung ginastos mo. At pinalabas na 600,000 lang yata out of the 2 billion plus budget ang ginamit nila. So, what are you doing with the travel budget? Hindi pala kayo bumabiyahe. Yung mga kongresista pala hindi tumatanggap dyan sa travel fund na yan. What are you using it for? So, mas worried ako dun sa mga discretionary. So, ang tanong, kung pwede nilang ipatawag at ipahugot yung liquidation na for confidential funds, hindi ba natin pwedeng ipahugot yung liquidation sa discretionary funds? Kasi yung MOOE, you can that's predictable, and a big bulk of that goes to the salaries of the staff. Hindi ko talaga pakikialaman yan. But, so baka naman sa kaganaduhan natin tumingin sa MOOE, nakakalimutan natin that the power of the speaker actually lies in the discretionary fund. Doon sila natatakot. Take away the discretionary fund from the office of the speaker or bawasan nyo, and let's see kung makakagalaw sila ng ganyan. Let's see kung may time silang mag-conspire. Let's see kung ganyan pa sila kasipsip kay presidente. I'm not saying wag natin tatanungin yung MOOE. Ang gusto kong gawin is tanungin natin lahat ng ginagastos ng Kongreso. Kasi kung they will subject every person, every agency under the executive, kung pagtatanungin natin yung executive, at minsan I'm looking for a nice word to use napaka-oppressive. I was going to use something really bad. Pero napaka-oppressive minsan ng pagtatanong. Sometimes naman mabait sila. But ang punto ko dito is, who will do that to them? Diba? Kanino naman sasagot ang Kongreso? Sino ang pupuntahan nila, haharapin nila at i-justify yung kanilang budget? Wala, di ba? Kasi Kongreso, they make the rules and they approve the budget. Sila po ang may power of the purse. What has happened here is that Congress has become too powerful. Alam nyo ba na bawal in the Constitution, bawal yung mayroong business interest, na kongresista o senador. Tapos gagawa ka ng batas na magbe-benefit sa business interest mo. Pero ang totoo niyan, ang dami na nasa legislature who do exactly that. Sinong nagdidemanda sa kanila? Sino ang makakapag call out sa kanila? Wala silang pinananagutan. In other words, unlike the executive, ang executive, hihingi ng budget yan sa Congress, and Congress can subject it to so many questions. Ito pang ang inquiries in aid of legislation. Ang exempt lang talaga, ang pwedeng humindi lang talaga ay ang presidente at saka yung cabinet secretaries. Pero pag pinatawag ka, whether you're in the executive or even in the private sector, good luck kung paano ka hihindi dyan. So, lumaki ang powers ng Kongreso. And who is checking them? Nasa Constitution yan. O isa pa, may Commission on Appointments. So, ano yung Commission on Appointments? Bago pag nag-appoint ang presidente, kahit buong-buo yung trust niya doon sa kakayahan at may confidence siya doon sa tao, dadaan pa ang sa Commission on Appointments. Guess what happens? Minsan, kapag ikaw ay humarap doon, magtatanungin nila, kumbaga, pwede nila kang ipahirapan in exchange for certain things. So, mayroon pa ba tayong check and balance? Bakit mayroong Commission on Appointments? At saka yung mga inquiries in aid of in Commission on Appointments. Yung Commission on Appointments is a relic. Kasi originally, nung ginawa yung saligang batas natin, parliamentary yung yung original form na naisip nila. At the last minute, na-realize nila na baka ma-oust si Cory kung Prime Minister siya. And so they turned it around at the last minute and made it a presidential form. Now, itong Commission on Appointments is another power that the legislature holds over the executive. Kasi nga, originally, this was supposed to be parliamentary, where the executive and the legislature ay nagkaka-interchange. Pero when we made it presidential, hiwa-hiwalay because we're supposed to balance it. I submit that nagkamali tayo na masyadong malakas ang Kongreso. Because nga originally it was supposed to be parliamentary. So may preview na po kayo kung ano mangyayari sa parliamentary system.